All right, good morning. Welcome to take two of Conversations in Coffee with Lee Kim. I don't know what happened last week, but we started our broadcast and there was volume on everything except me. And not that I'm the most important person to hear, but it's a little bit of an odd one-way conversation when it is just me. So welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. And again, I am so excited this morning to welcome my friend Lee Kim. Lee and I actually met on LinkedIn through, just one of those things. You connect and then you say, hey, why don't we have a conversation? And I was so fascinated with her stories. You will hear a couple of them this morning that I thought I must have Lee on the show. So, Lee, welcome.
Hi, Libby. Second
Welcome back.
time.
I mean, we've done
Yeah.
this, but hey, here we are doing it again. I am just doing a quick check on a quick look to see. Ah, yes. Okay. I asked my wonderful husband, who is one of my loyal followers. Of course, he has to be. And he said, great to be here and here." So we're doing it this time. All right.
Yay! I just am so happy to be back. Second
Well, it's like we
time.
didn't have enough of each other last week, right?
We can never have each other. Enough of each other.
Exactly. Exactly. So you have a great creation on your head,
Yeah, gotta go.
and isn't it fantastic? I absolutely love it. And we're going to talk all about that and the way in which you came about creating not only beautiful creations like that, but also the story that took you to a social experiment that's been absolutely fascinating. But I want to start with your journey. So, Lee, you are an engineer. And why did you become an engineer?
Yeah. Should we start with that one first?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's start with
Yeah.
engineering and move into the beauty of this story from there.
Yeah. So I'm actually in my office and I'm kind of reaching out here because I see a picture of my parents. So I'm from South Korea, and these are my parents. I think I took this picture when I was visiting them probably 4 years ago.
Oh, fantastic.
Um, so growing up in South Korea, I really did not think about what I want to be. I think oftentimes we were told what you should be. And then, in order for us to be something, we have to achieve certain things. And I thought I have to be the best in what I can, and that
Hmm.
what I can be anything, but it is not what you really want in life.
Hmm.
So I came to the States to go to college, and I thought about what will give me a job. And being a foreign student, the easiest one for me to get a job after I graduate, at least I was told, was engineering, science, math and science. So
Hmm.
I pursued my education in engineering.
Yeah.
Long
Because
story.
everybody does, right? Everybody says, "Gee, what's going to get me a job? I think I'll do something easy like engineering." And so you spent a fair bit of time
Yeah.
being an engineer, but then a passion kind of took hold, and what I like to call you this. You're actually a reality TV almost star, aren't you?
Almost. We have to add that one in. Yeah, so after I got my job, that's when I first began asking myself, okay, so now I have my job, now I have my visa. What do I really want to do?
Hmm.
And at age 22, 23, that answer didn't come easily for me. So what I did was what's out there. So I
Hmm.
began to explore, and one of the schools in New York City that was nearby was called Fashion Institute of Technology. It was just like 10-minute walk from where I was working. So I began taking classes there, and it really had a huge impact on what I thought what I could be,
Hmm.
because fashion design wasn't something that I thought about being or doing. But it allowed me to really express myself in a different ways than I ever was able to. I'm not really good at drawing, so I didn't think I was an artist. But creating something with fabric was completely different. You're using different material to create something. And when I got my degree, I also wanted to see, okay, I think I'm pretty good at this. You kind of wanted to believe in that one, but I wanted to compete against all others.
Mhm.
And at that time, I think it was a Project Runway. I don't know if you know the reality TV show Project Runway. I think it was a season 3, so like 2007, 2008, around that
Yeah.
time. Um, and I went for it, and I made it pretty far, far enough so that they actually asked me to submit a video. So you have gone through your portfolio reviews, your dress reviews, and your interviews. And then at the end, they see that, okay, now I think you have a qualification, but do you have a personality, right?
Mhm.
So they asked me to prepare a video. And they also asked me to sign a paper. If you get selected, you will be away for 6 months. At least you cannot speak about this for 6 months. And I had to go to my HR because I didn't know if I get selected and I'm gone for 6 months, will they take me back?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Um, so I went to my HR and I told her, I'm going for this reality TV show. I don't know if I will get it or not, but I really want to go for it. But I also want to keep this job. Would you take me back? And she kindly said, yes, you can take 6 months if you get selected, and then, we'll take you back. So that's how she learned about I was passionate about design.
Yeah, and so the twists and turns get really fun and interesting from there because somebody at your firm came across this um, newer concept called design thinking, which is really strategic planning, but different.
Yeah.
And so design thinking starts to become, well, a passion, at least for this one individual. And then your HR person invites
Yeah.
you to take a course because, after all, you like design.
Yeah. 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 I think
So, not
you're pretty good at
understanding really
making the
what design
connection.
thinking was,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're taking a design thinking course. So tell us what that experience did, because this was the real turning point for you.
It was. It was. So, several years passed by from the reality TV show, right? Actually, it's not several years. It's like probably 8 years went by. So
Yep.
this has been a long, long time. I have forgotten about this thing that I told her about. And then one day she calls me. I remember I was in Arkansas. Of all the places, I was attending a conference. I got a call from her, and she's like, "Lee, would you be available sometime in like June?" And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, there's this workshop that's being held in University of Milwaukee, led by a professor from Cornell, and it's called Design Thinking. And since you're interested in design, I thought you would be interested in going to this course." So I was like, "Why not?" Right? Like, company's paying for it, and it sounds interesting. Um, so I said yes, and I went for it, and it was quite a strange journey even getting there because
Mhm.
of the 2-day workshop that I was supposed to attend. There was a huge flight delays in Chicago airport, and so I actually got to the workshop the end of the first day,
Mm.
and Tracy, my mentor and the teacher there, was teaching it, and she was just talking about the importance of empathy. And she asked, like, as I was walking in and I was like kind of getting acquainted with everything, she asked, "What is empathy?" And I thought, like, I know what empathy is. It's putting yourself into somebody else's shoes. Classical definition of empathy. Um, And one thing that I didn't mention to you was while I was going through this journey of like finding my passion and everything, I was also having a lot of problems with my parents,
Mhm.
where I had a huge fight with them, and they were so disappointed at me that they disowned me. And so, this struggle with my parents' relationship with myself, and kind of going through this empathy thing, it just kind of
Mhm.
like shook me.
Yeah.
And that night, I really thought about what empathy is from what Tracy said. Tracy told me that empathy is almost impossible. The 100% empathy is almost impossible to obtain. So, as a human being, what we can do is really trying, attempting to be empathetic to the other person. And you can
Mhm.
do that by being really curious about the other person. So, that night in the hotel room, I began my journey of being really curious about my parents.
Mhm.
And my first question was, who was my mother before she was my mother? Because, I always thought about my mother as my mother.
Yeah.
I never thought about her as a little girl or high school or, like that image never entered my mind. But by kind of putting myself into the world where she grew up in, at least in my mind, I begin to see that maybe everything that I thought was right was
Mhm.
just from my point of view. And everything that I thought she was wrong may not be. It's just how we look at the world is completely different based on
Yeah.
the experience that we each had.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so it was like a huge wake up call for me to look at the world in a more, I don't know, I want to say forgiving way because I
Yeah.
was really like angry at my mother
Yeah.
and my father, but becoming more curious about why, like, who were they? What kind of journey did they walk? And what right do I have to say that that's not right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. So
So, I mean, it's fascinating because, design thinking is intended as a process to use in organizations to make better decisions and, manage change and create strategies that are going to be effective and listen and collaborate and so naturally empathy is this huge piece. Since then, you've left the engineering world, and
yeah,
at least in part of your job, you do design thinking as
yeah,
part of your professional life.
yeah,
But here's where we're going to make the segue to why am I talking to Lee Kim with like this thing on her head? Literally the elephant in the room.
yeah,
um, your mentor Tracy had a huge impact,
yeah,
and something happened one day that again has just completely shifted you in
yeah,
life.
yeah,
And so tell us about what you're wearing on your head and how that started.
yeah. So I'm gonna just walk back a little bit so you can see. So I'm wearing a pipe cleaner crown. If you don't know what pipe cleaner is, this is a pipe cleaner. It
Yeah.
has like a metallic spine and then it has a fuzziness around it. So as Libby mentioned, I began my work at Pfizer in 2017, early 2017, and May 20th of 2017, um, I got up to attend a workshop in Dumbo in Brooklyn, in New York. And I was walking toward the subway station and I got this Facebook notification. Um, it says, it's Tracy's birthday. You gotta celebrate, right? It
Mhm.
gives you like a little emojis that I can do. And for some reason that day, I just felt this is not right. Why is Facebook making me to say something to Tracy that I didn't remember? I have forgotten many birthdays before, but for some reason this day, that kind of like automatic reminder did not make me feel happy. It made me
Mhm.
very sad. And so for a person who is so important to me, I wanted to let her know that I do care about her. And I also wanted to speak in a language that she and I understand. Pipe cleaners are used in design thinking prototypes a lot.
Mm.
We use pipe cleaners to show what it is like to go through the mountains, or what it's like to have a phone in your hand, right? So you can just show it. So as I was walking toward the subway station, I got this Facebook notification. I said, I gotta do something. So I looked around and I saw a dollar store. I walked into the dollar store and I got actually the red package of pipe cleaners. And I made a tiny pipe cleaner hat, pipe cleaner crown. And I took a selfie and I sent it to Tracy and I told her, "Happy birthday, Tracy. This is my way of celebrating your birthdays here with you." And again, for some reason, I thought I gotta wear this one whole day. I'm gonna just celebrate her day as, as the way that I can do. And so I wore it to the workshop. I walked out of the workshop wearing a pipe cleaner hat. Now it looks a little bit more artistic and structured, and people think it looks pretty cool. But that day, I mean, I don't think it was that cool. I just actually thought it was quite silly that I was wearing things like that. But that made my first day of wearing something silly for someone that it really matters to me. And
Mhm.
then the following day, I made a decision to launch 365-day challenge of creating something new every day, wearing it, celebrating my friend. And then, on 365th day, which is going to be May 20th of 2018, I'm going to remember, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
going to do that one. Um, yeah, so that's how Pipe Cleaner Hat kind of creation started, and then it's continuing after 4 years now.
I mean, people have crazy ideas, thoughts that go through their mind, like, this was fun today. And gee, I should do this every day. In fact, I should do this for the next year so that I don't forget her birthday next year. Most people don't follow through on that. Like, that would be kind of the, haha, interesting. I don't think so. You took this on basically as a social experiment. You had three rules.
Yeah.
What were the rules?
Number one, I create something new every day.
Yeah, number
Number
two.
two, I wear it from 9 to 5.
Mhm.
And number three, if somebody questions or comments on my hat, then I tell them why I'm doing this and then ask them for their name.
Yeah. And and you did it.
Yeah.
You did it. And in fact, I'm gonna go forward a slide because I'm not sure if you're seeing this, Lee, but I've pulled a screenshot, probably against all copyright rules. So forgive me, but the New Yorker did a documentary on you.
Yeah.
And it's called How Wearing Silly Hats Helped a Mom Find Joy. So this picture that I screenshot of you is wearing a beautiful blue creation on a subway, and obviously the camera person is in the next subway car, and you're just nonchalantly, da da da, driving the subway. Nobody knows. And I mean, this is just fascinating to me that you would do this. And by the way, I don't know where I put it because I had it on for last.
I know,
Maybe
you
it's
look
a good
great.
thing. Maybe it's a good thing we cut that off because mine looked more like I was a Martian going somewhere. But you obviously are very creative, and I 365 days comes and goes,
Hmm.
but your daughter's having no part of you finishing, right?
Right. So my daughter Hannah, she was 5 years old when I started. And although, my husband thought this was a silly experiment that I was doing, and sometimes he was actually embarrassed because people would come and ask him, like, what is your wife doing? Is she like doing some kind of religious ritual or is it a cultural thing? My daughter was very happy with me making these things because for a 5-year old, having a mom who makes these things and then kind of walk around with it, she thought it was a pretty cool thing. And when I told her on the last day of my experiment that I'm stopping it, she got really upset, visibly upset.
Mhm.
And she's like, I don't want you to stop. And so I told her, well, my project is done. And if you want me to continue, then you and I have to partner. And I asked her to be my partner if she's willing to be my inspiration. And so she asked me what she has to do. So, like as little children, they all love to draw.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to encourage her to express herself through some artistic means. And so I asked her, if you draw, I'll look at your drawing and then I'll make things based on that inspiration. And so she and I has worked on this partnership together for last 3 4 years. And one of the drawings, she loves cats, so one of the drawings that she did is this thing called the catapult, and you can see like there's
Yeah.
alien cats and then there are cats in the bottom. And then sometimes she will just draw things like just the spring, summer, and there's always this cats appearing in the universe. So I love it. I love the fact that she became part of something that we are creating together. And of course, she is a great partner in a way that she always pushes me.
Yeah.
And there were times uh, during COVID I stopped making wearable traces, and she kind of asked me, challenged me, like, why aren't you making wearable traces anymore? Because I'm still doing my part of the bargain, drawing it every day. And
Hmm.
so I picked it up again, and still making it, not every day, but it is our partnership that continues, and I do appreciate that.
And again, I mean, I just think that this whole story is so incredibly fascinating. First of all, Hannah is very talented. And we'll get to a slide that says where people can connect with you on Instagram at Wearable Tracy, which is you've kept the name of your mentor in
Yeah.
all of this. But it like there's so many threads here. There is the idea that you have stepped out of your comfort zone in a way that you never would have imagined
Yeah.
wearing and like it's one thing to wear the little crown, and I've seen if you watch the documentary, which I will put in the post, the LinkedIn message for you to watch, for folks to watch. But there's the original little crown, right?
Yeah.
Stands up like this big.
Yeah.
Anybody can wear like a little crown. But these fantastic creations, sometimes masks that come down over, 2/3 of your face.
Yeah.
And and you said something last time that I thought was really interesting. You said, I feel confident when I wear my wearable Tracy.
Yeah. I think there has been a shift from, in the beginning, kind of like hesitant to wear it,
Hmm.
because I know my mother who said, "Why would you do something like this when people will make fun of you, embarrassed for me?" To really, I'm sending a signal to the world, I'm willing to wear this funny pipe cleaner hat. If you want to connect with me, you can just come and talk to me. You can just say like, "Hey, I love that hat," right? It's much
Hmm.
better than kind of giving out some kind of business card. I'm an open person. I would like to connect with you person to person.
Hmm.
Very non-threatening.
Yep.
I'm not asking you to give me money or anything like that. I'm just, if you're curious,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
come and ask me, and I'm willing to speak to you, and maybe we can learn about each other.
And I know that the documentary says that about a mom finding joy, but you don't even know the impact that you have had on the people that you've had a conversation with, that you've asked for their name, that sometimes you've given them whatever if it's the end of the day, you've
Yeah.
given away one of your creations. Just give, right? It's not a
Yeah.
not a commercial entity.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fantastic. It really is. I mean, you're a testament to getting outside of yourself and stop being people often say that they're self-conscious. They're really other conscious, right? They're afraid of what other people will think.
Yeah.
And yet, so so you make somebody laugh at you even.
Yeah.
It's bringing laughter and joy into the world.
Yeah.
And so back to design thinking, it's a form of empathy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think people ask me, what have you learned by going through this experiment? And I think number one thing is that I am full of assumptions, you know? So as I am walking down the street and you see a person coming towards you, a little child will smile. I mean, that,
Mhm.
little child is wonderful. But then when, let's say, a person who looks like a construction worker, really, really looking grumpy, you think that a person is gonna kind of curse at you, because I've heard that before. Um, And then the person kind of like smiles at you. I'm like, oh, I was wrong, like, so, and then you're sitting in the subway and you are looking across and you think the other person will again like say something and this person smiles and
Mm-hmm.
your whole perception of that person before that smile appeared completely changed.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have the hat on and if I'm looking at the person, I would not know what that person is like, right? So at least like I get to see different layers of a
Mm-hmm.
person. And yeah, I'm full of assumptions. So that makes me to be more curious
Yeah.
about the person before making a judgment. And I'm still like, my husband says like, "Where is the empathy?" And I said, "There's a theory and there's a practice, and I'm trying really hard to practice a lot more because I'm not I'm not 100% empathetic always. But I recognize my fault,
Yeah.
and I think what I can do is just put myself out there and understand that, you know, there are people who, if you ask, if you give a signal, will come, but without myself being out there and putting the signal out there, you will never know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, you being empathetic all day long, every day, 24/7. Biologically, we're not wired for that. Ego is part of survival, right?
Yeah.
But it's our protection and need for survival. But just to bring this back, not that I want to bring it back, but how are people going to take away from this for business?
Yeah.
Just think about how insular we are in the way we think about problems at work, let alone our lives, and the assumptions that we make, you've talked about, and the lack of empathy, right? It's all about us and our agenda and, all that kind of stuff. And you've got all of these fantastic lessons to share and ideas to share, all because you forgot somebody's birthday and wanted to do something special.
Yeah. So when you make a mistake
Intentionally.
next time, take that as an opportunity to do something, you know,
Yeah.
amazing because I mean, I'm not saying like do something amazing like, do it 365 days, but your mistake might lead to something just truly delightful
Yeah.
because I certainly became more close with Tracy after this.
Yeah.
We were close before, but doing this made both to appreciate each other. And of course with my daughter, you know,
Yeah.
and with actually people that I got to know because I was wearing it.
Mhm.
I have made friends with collaborators because they saw me and I saw them. And we were able to build something together. And I think there are a lot more opportunity in our mistakes than our perfections.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you for that last piece. So true. So, so true. Well, you know what? Our time's up for this time. I don't know, maybe again. So, generally speaking, when I have a guest on, it's like, so how do people get in touch with you so that they can do design thinking with you? Well, you're not for sale on that front at the moment, anyway, because you do have a job. But you can find Lee on Instagram at Wearable Tracy, and I've got that up on the link. Um, this has been so much fun. I'm glad we got to do it again. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody really knows what our first conversation was all about, but I'll have this conversation with you 10 times over. And I have to really, really work on I might do the potato stamping in the back. That looks like an easier task.
Yeah, right?
And yeah, there you go. That might be my starting point for bringing my creative juices out. But Lee, thank you so much again. Thank you everyone for being here. Next week, my sister is going to be my guest. April is organ donor month, and my sister is a liver transplant organ. No, she's not a donor. She's a recipient, organ recipient. And so we're going to talk about that journey. So thank you, everyone, for being here today. And thank you, especially Lee. And we will see you all next time. Take
Thank you,
care
Libby. Thank
and
you.
show a little empathy.